Hi, happy cold, yucky Sunday afternoon. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the court observation assignment. First, I'm going to talk just generally about the assignment, and I've got very detailed guidelines, written guidelines for that posted. But then I'm going to talk about some modifications because historically, this has been an in-person assignment. And because of the pandemic, I'm going to make some COVID-friendly modifications that I'm going to suggest to you. So first, let me tell you a little bit about the assignment. I want you to get a sense to link what we've learned in the classroom about theory and practice and go look and see how close does the real world look to that. And historically, I've had people go, in the guidelines, I have a link to all the court administrators in the state of Pennsylvania, and people could call and say what's happening in the court this week that I could view. This is a really important point that I'm about to make. So important point. You are going to view a public judicial proceeding, not a trial. Well, I should say it doesn't have to be a trial. It could be a trial, but if you just have trial in your head, you're going to have a really hard time because there are relatively few trials, and it becomes fewer all the time because right now between 95 to 96% of all of these judicial proceedings, criminal and civil, settle outside of court. In criminal context, we call that a plea bargain. In a civil context, it's just a settling out of court. Only 5% of things make it to court. So I have a couple of goals with this assignment. One is to link practice with the theory that we learn. Another is to kind of show you that courtroom litigation isn't quite as drama-filled and glamorous as sometimes we've been led to believe by public culture portrayals. And another thing, not only is litigation a lot less exciting than we tend to think it is, litigation is probably the most interesting of what lawyers do, and only about 5% of lawyers are litigators. Most 95% of lawyers never see the inside of a courtroom unless they're going there because they got a speeding ticket or something. So I want you to, I like people to do this assignment to see how much of what happens in the judicial process isn't during the formal parts, it's in the in-between times. It's when people are sitting around in the halls before a proceeding. So you'll see two attorneys, a prosecutor and a defense attorney, bump into each other and say, oh, hey, I wanted to talk to you about this one. I think maybe you should modify that, or a defendant's attorney might explain something and saying, you know, I think maybe you might want to reconsider the charges you've made for this particular person, because they all know each other. They're part of what your textbook calls the courtroom work group. And it's sort of like when we work with our colleagues, you know, when we see court proceedings in movies and television, it's like the prosecutor and the defense attorney are meeting for the first time. No, these people, it's a pretty small pool, especially in a place like Indiana County. They all know each other really well. And that's true in all except the largest jurisdictions. And so you might see a police officer walk up to the prosecutor and say, you know, some stuff that didn't get into the record that I wanted to make you aware of, you know, the person was, you know, they might say some things that helped the situation. The person was really cooperative, and I just wanted to let you know that because that's not really reflected in the record. So anyway, to see that so much of this is just handled kind of informally and quickly, and to also see that a lot of it is kind of dull and routine and kind of like a factory conveyor belt kind of mechanism. So it's my favorite assignment to read because it's the one assignment where students are just writing about what they've seen. I ask you to, when you go in person, I ask you to write about what's the ambience like, what are people wearing, what are people mumbling under their breath that's not part of the formal record. And so that's why I'm going to ask that if you find, I've provided some links that I'm going to show you in a minute for the virtual environment. And again, I'm switching now to talk about the modifications that I'm making to the assignment, because some courts are still operating even now during the second wave. If you if the courtroom near you is open and having proceedings, and if you're completely comfortable with that, and if you wear your mask and observe social distancing and you want to go in person, that's fine. However, if you have even one iota of a qualm, be safe, stay home, and watch online. I ask that you find something that's streaming live and not recorded, because the things that get recorded tend to be higher profile things, or they've been edited to take out the dead space and make them more interesting. I want you to see what it's really like to be in the courtroom. And I also, it needs to be not an appellate proceeding. And this isn't about oral arguments where if you see that there's more than one judge there, it's not an original jurisdiction kind of proceeding, it's an appellate proceeding. So I want you, and so you'll be seeing a magistrate go through a bunch of people, but if there's multiple judges with attorneys making arguments, I have a different assignment for that. So it should be like at the trial level, meaning not necessarily a trial, but some of the proceedings before, after trial, and it should be live. I've put together 5 links that I'm going to show you in a minute and show you a little bit how they work. I'll be adding a little bit to that list. I picked these links because even though I'm going to fumble around and it's going to be a little awkward to use, these were by far the easiest ones I found. This morning, do I know how I spent my morning? I tried finding this information in all 50 states. 5 of them, it was accessible and relatively easy to use. And technically, all of these proceedings should be public. Can't remember if I said this, but because the 6th Amendment promises that defendants have the right to a public trial, and that's part defendant's right, but it's also part of the community's right to have a transparent process so we can see how government goes about the process of trying to demonstrate that somebody is guilty of the crime that they've been accused of and charged with. Let me show you. So let me show you so these guidelines, I'm going to post this as a supplement to the other assignment guidelines. These are the 5 links. I'm going to talk about them in the same order as they are listed here. And so let me take you. So, okay. So we're going to start off with the 19th Judicial Circuit Court in Lake County, Illinois. So as you can see, you can go right to the live stream, but first go to the schedule. So we're going to look at room C207, the schedule for that. And we see that we got to scroll down for next week. Okay, that was a bad one to pick because apparently that one's not that busy. So let's go to C105. We scroll down to the 21st, which is tomorrow. Be sure that you keep in mind that the time frames. Illinois, I think, is in the same time zone that we are. If it's different, it would just be an hour, but I think they're in the same time zone. But 2 of the courts that I have are California, which is 3 hours behind us. So like if it says 9 o'clock in the morning in California, it would be noon here. So just keep that in mind. If you find other states and you can make it work and see a live proceeding, knock yourself out and go to that. I just wanted to make some options available to you if you didn't want to go to that work. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in room C105, they're having, C105. So if we go back to, we find C105, tomorrow at 9 o'clock when we click on live stream, they'll be in there doing that thing. And usually, sometimes you have to actually hit the arrow, even if it's a live thing. Okay, so that was the first court that is listed on the list. The second one is Ohio courts. And 2 of these tomorrow, I couldn't find where you could easily find the schedule for what's going on. But the nifty thing here is you see whether or not something's going on. Now, I know that this is kind of a mistake because, as you can see, this is dark, empty courtroom. Yeah, nothing's going on here. But actually this morning I was stunned. It was 9:30 this morning, and I clicked on one of these and there actually was something going on. And courts tend to have, if they're going to have something, it tends to be at either 8, 8:30 or 9 o'clock. So, but you could click throughout, check this link throughout the day. So that's our second one. Our third link, I've got 2 different courts in California, 2 different counties in California that I've listed here. So not only is each state different, but each county is different. So in Yolo County, they've got all these, they're calling the courtrooms departments. You can find a schedule if you go up here to calendar. If we do search hearings, so we're in Yolo County, we're going to search all hearing types. We're going to do it by courtroom. I put this in earlier. You're going to have to put courtroom and any department number. And then I put in the dates. I did December 21st to January 5th. And then you put that in. And for the department 11 or courtroom number 11, you've got these things. So tomorrow, for example, well, it looks like the courtroom number 11 doesn't have anything coming up until Tuesday at 9 a.m. And then it's got some different things. So if we go back and then go to Court 11, then we'll click view. And at that time,
It's my belief that hearsay statements by a declarant are going to be elicited through Saunders, and that hearsay declarant has a number of prior convictions for felonies, including felonies which would constitute.
So that was actually a taped thing, and you can see it says it was streamed live on December 18th. I do want you to see something live, although I would bet that this one actually is kind of dull. Like I want you to see it, and does have all the mistakes. But it's so weird to be watching. Everybody's at a different location because it's all zoomed. So at any rate, that's how Yolo County works. And then move this over a little bit. The next one is Sacramento County. And so, and this is, you'll come to a page that looks like this. You pick like a department, and then you pick hearing date. And so for the 21st, and this one's nice because you don't have to go back. Wait, you go to any of them that say live stream. These public lottery ones are for in-person ones. So tomorrow at 8:30, and this would be 11:30 our time, you can live stream. So Department 8 didn't have as many. If we go to a different one. Okay. That one has a live stream one. Okay, so the Department 4 is just about all live streamed at the various times that you would see over here. So tomorrow at 9, which would be noon our time, you click on those. And again, there's nothing right now because it's not tomorrow at 11 or noon or whatever. Okay, so and then the last one, the fifth of the 5 links that I provide is in Michigan County is kind of cool. So I wasn't able to easily find a schedule. However, you can click around the counties, and as you click over here on the map, you can see it changes over here, and it lists the different, it actually does it by judge. And you can go and watch that courtroom. And again, there's nothing there right now. This thing. Sorry. Because they're offline, as you can see. But if tomorrow at some point, oh, this is cool. Does that mean we can do it? We can sort it by live now? Oh, that's within each county. Okay. Okay, so tomorrow, like if you came to, what is this, Kent County, and like you could order it by, there's not any that are live now. So anyway, want to keep this video sort of short. That's a little bit about the COVID-friendly modifications to the court observation assignment. The assignment itself, as it says in the guidelines and on the calendar, is not due actually until the court is officially ended. Class officially ends on January 8th, which is a Friday, but I'll accept it as late as Monday, January 11th, to give you a little extra time because we're in this really compressed time frame. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me, and I'll see you soon.